morning, everybody. So today I am going to be making an apple fritter bread. I have some apples here that I need to use. This recipe only takes 2 apples, so we're going to wash all 3 though. Take the stickers off here. I wanted to get these washed right away. I've never made apple fritter bread, so I figured this was a good recipe to try. I think it's going to be fun. Okay, let's get started. Let's get a knife here. Okay, so to start, it says half a cup of softened butter. So I have some butter here. On my package here, it shows measurements. So that's about half a cup. And then you want 2/3 of a cup of sugar. There it is. Which is just over half a cup. It's a little bit more sugar than I expected, but that's okay. Gotta fill my jar again. A little bit more. This is probably to offset some of the cinnamon that goes in here and to sweeten the apples a little bit. Gala apples are pretty sweet on their own though. Okay, so we're going to put that in with the butter. Then it calls for 2 eggs. I think I'm going to cream the butter and the sugar together first. Got my mixer here. Okay, we're going to add a little bit more stuff in there so it blends it up a little better. This was room temperature butter. Doesn't totally look like it, but it was. Okay, so 2 eggs. Okay, and 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla. I like a little extra, so I always add a little extra. I just want to break up the pieces of butter a little bit. Okay, and then a pinch of salt, not too much. And baking powder, 1 3/4 teaspoons of baking powder. Quarters. Okay, I'm going to mix that in. Okay, half a cup of milk. Get my milk here. Okay, now 1.5 cups of flour. There's one. And about half. Let's mix that up. Okay, now let's make the cinnamon brown sugar mixture. Okay, I pre-sprayed the pan. Okay, so we need to make a cinnamon and brown sugar mixture. So it says about half a cup of brown sugar to 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. And that's pretty much it. One. So this gets layered when we do the bread, when we're putting it in the pan. Now, let's peel and dice up a couple of these apples. I could use a peeler for this, but I really don't like using a peeler to peel apples. or potatoes for that matter. I find it takes too long, so I like using a knife. So I'm just going to cut on either side of the core here and just cut around it. I really hope this recipe turns out really well because it's a really nice fall feeling kind of recipe. Apples and cinnamon, anything reminds me of fall. Okay. So it said to dice them into small pieces. I'm assuming because you don't want a big bite of apple. I had planned to dice them in small pieces anyways, so. It is so cold here. We've had a few hard frosts already. My garden is completely gone and done. I ripped all the plants out and it's ready to start fresh for next year. I'll elaborate more on that in a different video. So it doesn't specify what kind of apples to use, so I'm sure any kind of apple would work. I think in the future, if this recipe turns out, I might even try making this with applesauce and just adjust the flour in the recipe to accommodate the extra moisture. Okay, so I just want to scrape the edges of the bowl here to make sure all the stuff on the sides here are incorporated. So this mixture, I don't know if you noticed, there is lumps in it. That's the butter. I'm perfectly okay with that. So it says to ladle in some of the mixture. Smooth it out a little. Oh, sorry if you can't see. Sprinkle apples. And then a fair good amount of the cinnamon and brown sugar. Like that. And then just keep repeating the process, is what it says in the recipe. I've never made a loaf like this before, but it completely makes sense to me. If you want a little less apple, you can make a little less apple. I don't think that would be a big deal. I'm very curious to see how this turns out. I'm interested to see if adding more baking powder is going to make this rise more. We'll see how much of this raises though. I like playing around with baking recipes. I have quite a bit of baking experience, so I feel fairly confident in changing around recipes just a tiny bit. You don't want to mess with them too much. Baking is pretty precise, but mostly with flavor. Okay. Put the rest of the apple on. That. I don't mind this layering technique, it's interesting. And then it says to take either a knife or something sharp. So I'm going to use a chopstick. And it says to swirl the mixture together to incorporate a little, I guess a little nicer. I'm assuming it's to bring some of the flavors into the dough as well. This is going to be delicious, I can tell already. Okay, and then I think I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit more of this since I have so much of it. On top. Okay, so for the glaze, pretty much 3 ingredients. So we're going to do some powdered sugar here. Buried my measuring cup. I don't want to make too much here, so I'm going to half the recipe here because I don't want too much. So it did say half a cup, so I'm going to use about 1/4 of a cup of this because I just want it to drizzle on top. I don't want to actually like ice in the whole thing. Okay, and then we're going to put tiny bit of cream. We might need to add a little bit more icing sugar, we'll see. And some vanilla. All to taste. I like using heavy cream for glazes. It tastes better. And we're just going to mix it all up. We'll give it a little taste. I think I might add a little bit of salt to this. Just one sec. If you add a little pinch of salt to things that are really sweet, it helps balance out the sweetness. Gives it a much better flavor. Okay, let's give this a little taste. I think this is going to be perfect. It's a little bit sweet still. Let's try adding a little bit more salt. I'm going to get a different spoon here since I tasted the spoon we were mixing with. Okay, let's try one more time. It's perfect. Salt always balances things out that are really, really sweet. So this is perfect. Okay, so I'll be back in about 50 minutes. I set the timer for 55, and we'll check the bread and see if it's done. The bread is done. It actually raised a lot more than I had expected, so that's good. It's still a little bit hot, so I just want to take it out of the pan. Yep, it's going to pop right out. That's awesome. It's still really, really hot. There we go. Okay, so all I'm going to do, mix this up a little bit, is just drizzle a little bit of it on top like this. Just to give the bread really nice vanilla flavor on the top. This will soak into the bread as well because it's still hot. If you want it to sit on top of the bread, do this when your bread is a little bit cooler. And there we go. Let's put some on the crust areas here. And there is our apple cinnamon bread. Apple fritter bread, actually. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video today. It was fun trying this new recipe. I'll let you know how it tastes. I'm going to taste it after dinner. It's almost dinner time here. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye. So guys, that was fun trying a new recipe. I think this is probably a really good fall recipe. Apples and cinnamons just remind me of fall, Thanksgiving. So I'll let you guys know how it tastes. But for now, this is where I'm going to end the video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.